Welcome to the Fill Your Cups podcast. We're your hosts, Morgan
and Julia.
Ooh, so this is a little different today. We have a bonus book club episode for you. You have to go, just kidding. That's what Bailey always does. But Bailey, my typical co-host and other sister, she is actually kind of out on a podcast maternity leave right now. When this episode comes out, we should have a baby girl, a little baby niece in the family. Yeah. So right now she is off doing mom things and we are here doing podcast things. So Julia is filling in for her today for the book club episode, and then later on for the typical episodes that are on Monday mornings, or released on Monday mornings, at least those weekly episodes. It'll either be me solo, or if I get organized enough in time, then I'll have a guest on or something like that. But Bailey's taking a break for a while. So the plan is to expect her back when she gets done with about 6-7 weeks, she said, after having the baby, being postpartum and whatnot. And it'll be so fun when she does come back, because you guys can hear all about what's
I can't
changed.
Wait.
Yeah. It's so fun. So that said, Julia is here today helping me out. Julia is also in our book club, also reads the books with us that we talk about every month. And
usually.
Yeah, typically. And there's always someone in the group that doesn't read the book or finish the book. Yeah. But not every book is for everybody. And not every book is for everybody in their current stage of life.
Exactly. So, timing is important.
Yes, exactly. So we are here to talk to you about Broken Country, which, do you remember the author?
Oh, I don't.
I'm going to look it up. But we're here to talk to you about Broken Country. This is going to be made into a film, or it was released that it was going to be a film adaptation or something. So I think it's going to be a movie. It's by Clare Leslie Hall. You've probably seen it. I guess it's on a bunch of It's on Reese's book club, and I think it was some kind of top seller or something like that. I really don't know. But it is the book that we read for the month of September.
Yeah, and I'm glad you specified the author, because I remembered hearing that it was going to be a TV show or a movie. I couldn't remember what, or if it was already a TV show or a movie. Mm-hmm. And so I looked up Broken Country movie, and there is a movie called Broken Country.
Oh, really?
But it's not this book. Totally different characters. Yeah. So just so that nobody gets it confused. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I had no idea, but that makes sense. I do think that there are so many books right now being made into movies and TV shows.
All of them, it feels like
the universe heard me say I want to read books that I can watch later. Yes. And then said, okay. And
here you go.
Yeah, bet. So I feel like that's so fun. But we did talk about this book recently at book club. We had our book club and we talked about it with everybody, and there were very mixed opinions.
I knew there would be.
Yeah.
I even said it to Chloe as we were walking in. I was like, I feel like there's going to be mixed reviews on this. And it's funny because the first 4 people that went all gave it 5 really or 4.5 stars. Yeah. I was like, maybe it's not going to be mixed reviews. And then Morgan went.
Change it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I did not expect people to dislike this book as much as some of the people that did. But I am glad that you're co-hosting this particular episode with me, because we had such differing opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I love this book. I felt like it felt really sweet and wholesome at times, but then it was really abrupt and intense at times. And that kind of book is one that, the aesthetic or the vibe of it being very, I don't know, quaint and villagey or whatever, that keeps me wanting to read. And then the intense moments draw me into the story and what's going on and all of that. So
this book was really good for that kind of vibe.
Yes, I really, really liked it. but the content was really intense for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that a lot of what you didn't like?
Yeah. So the book follows the main character, Beth, and it's purely from her perspective, right? It doesn't do any changing.
No.
It's just her perspective from the present, which is this trial that's happening, right? And then it goes back to before, and you're kind of hearing about her life and the things that led up before it. And at the beginning, I was very intrigued by the trial. There's a murder, there's a suspect, there's somebody on the stand. We don't know who it is. So like watching all of that unfold and reading to get to the juicy parts of that kept me in. Like I was really interested in that and this kind of the mystery aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really enjoyed the parts of Beth's life early on, like when the book first started. It was like you said, it was very picturesque. It was very quaint. It was very, idyllic kind of. And so like, I was really like, I think I'm going to like this book. And I thought that her love interest, Gabriel, was really fun and like an interesting character. Yeah. I kind of pictured the entire time I was reading the guy who's in a lot of 90s romance movies, Hugh Grant, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
That's who I pictured for Gabriel, like the entire book, basically.
That's interesting, huh?
Because they're in Britain,
was he
right?
Also, the really small guy on the Wonka movie.
Yes.
Okay.
He was the Oompa Loompa on the Wonka movie.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm picturing the right person.
But he typically plays like a really
like a
sophisticated,
a love interest.
Always a love interest, always kind of playful, teasing,
jokey a little bit,
which Beth and Gabriel had that kind of back and forth
they
banter,
which
was kind of sarcastic and fun,
Yeah.
So like I was really enjoying their love story, and I was really rooting for them. I thought that they were great together. I really, truly did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love how jealous Beth would get around his other friends, and that girl Louisa, who he was really like, his parents really wanted him to be with.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, the book started to sort of be less, I don't know, picturesque and quaint and like cutesy whenever it started to become more about like jealousy and insecurities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I just started to become annoyed by the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I was annoyed by Beth and I was annoyed by Gabriel.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Sometimes it's okay to not like characters because it keeps you rooting for someone and against someone.
Yeah.
But when you don't like the main character, that's really, really tough.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel such a hatred for Beth, I guess. I felt like I understood where she was coming from in a lot of the cases. And I felt like they were really, really young in some of those things that you were talking about, like the immaturity of her feeling jealous about Lalisa and stuff like that. So I think I just gave her a lot of grace, I guess, or I just didn't hold on to that much, And if she was someone in my life, maybe that would bother me a lot more, but as a character in a book, it didn't bother me that much. So I didn't really notice that as much until we got to book club, that people were so irked by her, even outside of the cheating. Because obviously the cheating, not okay.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. But I could kind of appreciate what the author was doing with being so swept up in her past love and blah, 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 even with the cheating that I didn't like. But those other character flaws, I didn't really see, but so many people were like, she's just so selfish and she's so just there's nothing good about her. And I was like, wow, I did not really notice that.
It is kind of interesting how it felt like everyone either loved it or hated it. Like there wasn't a lot of middle ground for this one.
Yeah.
There was lots of like 4.5s and 5s and then just like 2s.
Yeah. So I gave it 5 stars.
I gave it a 2.
Yeah. And I loved it. I genuinely, let me see. So I actually left a review on Goodreads as well. And I wrote it before book club because a lot of the time I don't rate on Goodreads or Fable until after we've met for book club because I don't want people to see it. Like, spoiler,
Keep it a surprise.
Yeah. And so I wait, but then sometimes I forget what I would have said. And I like to actually review the book, like actually write a review for the book. So I wrote this review beforehand and saved it on a note in my phone. But my review, I said, I adored this book. It walked the line of feeling calm and quaint while also feeling intense and jarring at times. At the beginning of the book, I immediately had guessed that Bobby was Gabriel's son, but I was so enamored with the story that I was still in complete shock when they revealed that secret. I literally gasped out loud and then said to myself, wait, I was expecting that. I saw that a lot of reviews compared it to Where the Crawdads Sing, and I didn't like that one at all. So if that was keeping someone from reading it, I would say ignore that. But I did feel like the book had everything that you might want, like suspense, romance, mystery, everyday slice of life. That's how I felt. And I think that I didn't realize how unlikable so many of the plot points were until we talked about it in book club. And I don't know, I think it was just because of the way that it was written. And I think that the way it was written helped me to kind of overlook a lot of those things.
It was really beautifully written.
Yeah.
I did like the language, and I liked Madeline said it had good vocabulary, you know, and it was a nice setting, you know, farm town and like that kind of thing. And then the whole flashing back and then into the present with the trial, that kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. You know, wanting to know what's going to happen.
I love when a book does every other time frame wise. Yeah. I love when they do it. I love dual POVs, like going back and forth with different points of view from different characters. But I really, really I also really like, I just think that it's I don't know, more accessible style of writing, but just it captures you.
Well, you can tell a story that spans over a long amount of time quicker, like more condensed. I think, when it goes back and forth. I remember when we read First Lie Wins for book club, I didn't like the back and forth in the time because I really only cared about the present and what was going to like happen to the storyline that was in the present. I didn't really care about the lead up, but in this book it was different because they didn't reveal all of the information in the present, and so you kind of had to know what was going to happen in the build up. So I was more invested in the before storyline. Yeah. So that I could understand the present storyline better. Yeah. So in this book, I would say I really liked the back and forth in time, but I don't always. Yeah.
See, and I think I really like that in any book, really. Sometimes it does get detracting where you're like, I don't want to read any more about the past. I just want to know what's going on now. Right. But I really like that it can bring up different emotions and help you to empathize with the characters more. When you have little bits of the past being brought in, it helps you empathize with what they're going through now and what they might be thinking now. And spoiler, but on my next solo episode, I kind of talked about this with The Summer I Turned Pretty because I just read that series and watched the show too. And that is how that book is written as well. It kind of goes back and forth, and so does the TV show. But I really love it in a book because they draw parallels a lot of the time. And I just think it's a smart way to add depth to what's going on now by drawing attention to what they might be thinking of because they have the context of this past event that happened in their life. You know?
Have you ever read Tom Lake?
No, but I have. Is that Ann Pritchett or something?
Yes.
So I've had it on my want to read list for a long time.
So it's a similar back and forth story, and it's narrated by Meryl Streep. So the audiobook is fantastic. Oh, okay. And it's another one of these kind of small town, quaint, picturesque type vibes. But in that book, it's just funny because I was way more invested in the past in her story. It was kind of like a How I Met Your Father type story. Oh, like she's telling all of her adult daughters while they're working on this, they work for a cherry tree farm, I'm pretty sure. So she's telling them all about like her past lovers kind of in a story and her past days as like a Hollywood show person. And so in that book, I didn't really care about them on the farm picking their cherries.
Stop flashing forward.
Like, just tell me, I want the juicy stuff. So it was just these back and forward books. I don't know. I guess it really depends on what's happening.
I think it's so smart though, because it pulls you in. Like you're going to get through it quicker because you want to rush through those boring scenes or whatever.
So true.
You know, so I think it's a really smart author move to incorporate something like that. It just changes it up and then it makes you want to keep reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's funny. Maybe I should pull that one back up to the front of my list. Is there a film adaptation of that?
Not that I know of,
Okay.
but now that we've talked about it, it's probably going to be announced like tomorrow.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I really, really like this book. And it's so funny because now that we're talking about it after talking about it at book club, I'm like, what even did I like about it? But it really just was the vibe. It was just the style of it. I was very intrigued I was more intrigued by the romance than I was by the trial.
Really?
Shocking. Yes, I know. I think I'm just that type of person. I just think that romance is my favorite genre of book. And sometimes I feel silly saying that, but I'm like, it's not just, like smutty type romance or like stupid romance. It's like, this was complicated, complex, deep romance. And I like reading about that. So I was interested in the trial, but I was actually not as interested in that as I was with like what was going on with Gabriel and what was going on with Frank, not with the trial, but in their marriage and how that was going to end up and all of that. So I was really, really intrigued by that. Did you expect the reveal about Bobby not being Frank's son?
No, I did not expect that. And it did make me go, oh, like now so much more makes sense. You know what I mean? But it made me dislike Beth even more.
Really?
Because I'm like, okay, so not only did she keep this from Gabriel, and there was this whole thing about the mom paying her off and, whatever. Like, so I wasn't that mad about her keeping it from Gabriel. But really, it really bothered me that at some point in the story, Frank had wanted to have another baby. And Bobby was like 5 years old at the time. And she was like, oh, I just feel like it's going to be so hard to give attention to a newborn baby and still have this perfect relationship with Bobby.
Yeah.
So she basically told Frank that she didn't want to be a mom of a newborn again because she wanted to be able to focus solely on Bobby.
Right.
And then that just like made me so sad for Frank because like he never got to have like his own child, and I know that he loved Bobby as if he were his own and he raised him as if he were his own. And I mean, we're both products of adoption. So like, I know that the bloodline doesn't necessarily make a difference, but like, I still just felt like she should have given him that. I don't know. And it just felt like another one of those selfish moves to me that was, it just felt like Beth did everything in her own best interest and nobody else's, like, Yeah.
I would say with the exception of the children, because I did feel like she poured all of herself into Bobby and Leo and later probably Grace. But
but even her spending time with Leo was to heal herself.
Yeah, that's true. But I did feel like, I don't know, at the beginning I felt like it was to heal herself, but I didn't feel like it was that simple. I felt like she was also like after his dog dying and stuff like that. I felt like she was trying to console a child. And some of that probably was kind of the like phantom Bobby, I guess, situation. But I don't know. I do agree that she was selfish, I guess, but like moments like that didn't stand out to me. Honestly, before you said it in book club, I had forgotten about the whole not having a kid with Frank thing.
Yeah.
Like it felt like a very small mention to me. I couldn't even tell you how it happened actually now that we're talking about it. But when like in my head, the way I remember it happening, if I was going to guess like how it actually happened, is that it was mentioned that from her point of view, obviously, because it all was, but that she was like, well, at some point, Frank and I talked about this and he wanted to, and I said, but I just couldn't imagine having someone detracting me from Bobby. And that was kind of the end of it. Like, I didn't remember Frank putting up much of a fight or voicing much of a...
I think when I was reading it in the moment, I was the same, like just kind of like, okay, we're moving on. But it was after the fact when the reveal happened about Bobby not being Frank's biological. Then I was like, And she didn't even let him have his own, you know? And then like, this is all coming to me at the very end of, like, this is just how I felt when I closed the book. And I was like, but, and this and that. And like, Frank didn't even get to bond with his 10-year-old baby daughter because he was in jail that entire time. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I think I just felt real bad for Frank.
Yeah. Yeah. He was definitely the victim of the book, even though he honestly was one of the worst offenders because Bobby's death was largely his fault. He was definitely painted as not an unsung hero, I guess, but almost like, I don't know, you should feel bad for him. Yeah. Like that's definitely how the author paints him, which was kind of odd to me because I did feel like, I think that's what I liked about this book is it was complex. Every concept was, it was all a spider web that was, you know, nothing is simple. And I kind of like books that are like that. Like it's not, there's more to unpack there because that is very realistic to me. I feel like that's just people and that's just the world. And that's, you know, we are messy. Like a lot of people were like, it's too messy for me. And not messy in the way of like, oh, there's too much drama, which there was. But some people are just like, just too messy, like cheating and kids that aren't like, what am I trying to say? Illegitimate or
I guess.
That word?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not up to snuff with the terms these days. but it like all of that stuff and it just that it was like too messy or whatever. But I'm like, but that's how life is.
Life is messy. I think the reason that I didn't like the book really is less about the plot lines and more just about how I felt reading it. And I know that that's why you rated it so high.
Yeah.
Because you like, for you, it had an opposite feeling. But, and like I was thinking about this because I have given books high rating where I hated the story before and hated the characters.
Really?
Like The Push, for example, which is a book that was kind of being circulated around our book club there for a bit.
That's a great example. That's a great example.
Really disturbing. And the entire time I was anxious and I was on edge. And I ended up giving it a high rating because I really liked the writing style and it was so compelling and I was just like very invested in the story. And I could say all of those same things about this book. Like it did have great writing. I was anxious and on edge. I was compelled by the story, but I feel like at the end I was just annoyed. It was it was just that feeling of annoyance that made me not like it. Yeah. I never felt that way about The Push. I never felt annoyed by it. I felt wrecked by it. You know what I mean? Like there were negative emotions tied to it.
But you didn't feel like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have read this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because sometimes I get what you mean. Like sometimes for books that I truly don't like, I get to the end and I'm like, well, that was a waste. Yeah. You know? And it kind of sounded like that's how you felt about this book. Yeah. And honestly, that's how the people that rated it pretty low, that's how they were like, yeah, I kind of just wish I would have done something else with my time. Like I would not have finished this book if it weren't for the fact that we're talking about it at book club, which I love the resilience, but club. Yeah, because you definitely don't have to finish the book to talk about it. But I do think that that's how people felt about it. And I have had that feeling with books before where I finished and I've been like, why did I even read that? That was so dumb. And I, of course, am going to rate them lower.
And then I like immediately put it out of my head. I was just like, okay, like I immediately wanted to go on to the next book. Like I didn't spend any time sitting there, like digesting it or chewing it or like, I didn't think about it the next day. Like, that's a bad sign. So that's that's kind of how I knew.
Yeah, that's a bad sign. I did think, so to be totally honest with you, I rated this 5-star. Well, in my head, I was like, this is a 5-star book. As soon as I finished it, I really, really loved it. But then I did start another book and there were 3 or 4 days in between when I finished this book and book club. And I started the other book and it wasn't like a crazy awesome, it was a good book, but it wasn't crazy awesome or anything wildly exceptional. Yeah. And by the time we got to book club, I was like, I kind of think that Broken Country might have been more of a 4 for me because I'm not remembering as much. And I feel like books that leave a big impact on me, I remember for a long time. Like I could still tell you most of what happened in The Measure. Or
that one came to my mind too.
Yeah. Or even or The Push. Like you just brought The Push to mind. And there were things that were already...
Wait, did you read that? I thought you weren't going to read that.
I did read it.
You did?
It was fucking insane.
Yeah.
I did not like it. But I do
But are you glad you read it?
Yeah. And I do think I rated it high. Books like that, though, psychological books, I have to take a lot of time between them. Because, for instance, I just read a thriller book, The Last Mrs. Parrish. And oh my God, you guys, if you read this book, I'm so sorry for your mental health. But
we've been talking about this one for a minute.
It's been over a month.
Yeah.
Because I know that because we've had 2 book clubs since then. And I have only read like lighthearted, nothing bad will happen. Like not books like this. Like this book there were sad parts and kind of freaky parts and stuff, but nothing like psychological, you know? And so I have not been reading thrillers, and I have not, because this book left a huge impact on me. And I do think it was a good book. I rated it 4 stars, and I think that's what I rated The Push as well. But I do have to take so much time in between them because they F with my brain.
Yes.
And they just sit with me. But that also, I mean, that is a sign of a good book.
Right.
That means it was well written. And that's what I'm saying about this book, Broken Country. After a few days, I already was fuzzy on some things. And the story, I don't think I'll forget necessarily, but like the parts of why I loved it so much, I was like, I can't even really remember. But I think it truly was just, I closed the book and I was like, wow, that was a fun journey, you know? And I felt really good about it. And I don't think it helped that last month was Girl with a Pearl Earring, and I rated it a 4. And again, I think it probably should have been a 3, but timing made it a 4 for me.
Yeah.
And then coming off that, I was like, okay, well, if that was a 4, this was definitely a 5 for me.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. You kind of have to think about your previous rating.
Yeah. So honestly, if I'm being totally honest, Girl with the Pearl Earring probably should be a 3, and this probably should be a 4 for me.
Yeah.
But whatever. I rate books right after I read them, and that's fine with me. You know, I don't have to go back and change it.
But no, a lot of people really loved this. It's funny. I was at Hallmark yesterday looking for something for Bailey, actually. And I was looking at the little willow tree figurines. And I saw one. It was a man and a woman and a little baby. And the title of the figurine was We Are Three. And it had a cute little saying underneath it.
So cute.
Because that was a big thing in this book was I am yours, you are mine,
and
we are three. Or he is mine, he is yours, we are three. I don't know. But the we are three thing.
I think it's like he is ours, we're his, and we are three or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah. Jordan would know. She wants to frame it.
I liked that quote a lot too. I didn't remember it quite as much as them, but that was another thing we talked about in the group. Neither you or I are moms right now, but I do know that about half of our group, it has kids.
Right.
And that was something that really impacted the way that they read the book, I think.
Yeah, either positively or negatively.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think, like, for instance, Jordan, she really, really loved that passage and, you know, really loved that. But then for some, honestly, the loss of Bobby and the way that went down was kind of, I wouldn't say unforgivable, but couldn't get past it. Hard to move past for a lot of our moms in the group, which I totally get. I mean, I still can picture the scene myself, and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrifying. But I think without fully being able to empathize, because I don't have a child of my own, it didn't make it unpassable to me, I guess, you know. I don't know.
And it didn't put you in a state of fear and anxiety and like stress over your little ones that are running around.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Like I would hate to be feeling that way. Like, you know, you read books to escape and you read books to, well, I don't know why you read books. I personally, I like to feel good after reading a book. Like I like to I like really warm-hearted books, and, you know, I like to feel good. I like a good feel-good book.
Yeah.
And
that's something though about Beth that I felt like was a good quality of her, was she really truly did not hold Bobby's death.
I loved Beth as a mom.
Yeah. But she also really truly didn't hold Bobby's death against Frank. I felt like. Did you?
I don't feel like I don't feel like she made him feel bad, you know, like I don't feel like she ever said like this was your fault or like that, even though he did feel bad. He did feel like it was his fault. But I do feel like she maybe had a little bit of resentment towards him.
I think she did a little bit too, but I felt like it didn't really impact how she was as a wife, I guess, until Gabriel and Leah.
I feel like it did because that's like what made her think it was okay to cheat on him.
Like gave her a little bit of
like because he did this terrible thing, I don't feel as guilty about doing this terrible thing that I'm doing. You know?
Yeah, I mean? That's true. It just was so much longer after.
Yeah.
So I think I just don't think of it as related. But I mean, it definitely is related. Like in her head, she's kind of like, oh, well, this terrible thing happened to us because of him. This other terrible thing can happen to us because of me, I guess.
And it may have even been more subconscious. I don't know that it was ever clearly
I felt like she did say that somewhere in the back of her mind it was payback's the wrong word, but even. But yeah, I do think it was more subconscious. I don't think it was intentional at the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But that's the thing with cheating. I feel like most often it comes from being unintentional than being intentional.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I mean, sometimes people are intentionally seeking out people who aren't their partners. That's true. But when it's something like this, where it's an affair and, oh, we slipped up and whatever. And like Jared and I have talked about this, and it's like, even because we've talked about, oh, what would happen? Like, what would you feel if we found out that one of us cheated on each other or whatever? And the go-to answer I feel like is always, well, you know, was it like a one-time thing or was it like a full-on affair? And even then, you know, we both were like, I guess we could understand a one-time accidental, like maybe I was too drunk or like maybe I was just like swept up in the moment or something like that. And it happened one time and not going to happen again, whatever. Like maybe I could understand that more than like a full-on ongoing long emotional affair type of situation. But even then, even with like a one-time thing, we have like Jared's been like, yeah, but then there, like even then it doesn't just happen on accident. Like it doesn't, I don't know, like there's just all these tiny little baby steps that get you there.
Yeah.
Like flirting, or I mean, there has to have been so many interchanges that made both parties think the other one would be open to it.
Yeah.
So at that point, it still is like, I don't know. It still is just as bad.
What did you think of Louisa telling Beth that it wasn't too late for her to rekindle things with Gabriel? Like, do you think that was good of Louisa to say that to her?
I think that was nuts.
To herself.
I think that was nuts. And I also think that Louisa was a character who, I mean, she leaves her husband for someone else, right?
Yeah.
So I think that she is kind of just speaking from her own experience. And that's all we can do as people. But I think that based on what Beth valued, I felt like they had different values. And Louisa was saying, hey, this thing that you want to do, it's okay. You don't have to like upstand your values because my values are different. And that's just the thing when you take advice from someone who has different values than you.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, really like it doesn't make sense. If, I don't know, like if you believe in God and you're talking to someone who doesn't believe in God or believes in Buddha or something like that, and they're going to give you advice that follows that, you know, or if you're talking to someone who like, I don't want to have kids or something, you know, and I'm talking to someone and I'm giving them advice about their lifespan and not having kids or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
or like a career move. Like, I would totally take that career because I don't anticipate having kids or something like that.
It just doesn't, it's bad to take advice from someone that you don't agree with at a fundamental level.
Yeah.
I just think that Beth was looking for someone to agree with, honestly, because I think she needed closure as well and felt like she never wrapped up that part of her life. But yeah, I thought that was dumb. What did you think?
Well, yeah, I definitely thought that, I mean, just given the fact that Beth was married and like, I mean, yeah, it's okay for Gabriel, but it wasn't okay for Beth to obviously have an affair. I don't think that's necessarily what Louisa was saying either. She probably meant like, you know, do it the right way.
You can leave Frank. And, like I left Gabriel.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that would have made Louisa feel a little bit better herself.
Yeah.
Than Beth did it too, but
honestly, yeah, maybe it was self-seeking for Lisa because she was like, oh, then I'll feel less bad if my husband that I loved is happy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So she was kind of like pushing Beth into Gabriel's
Did Louisa
arms.
cheat on Gabriel before? Like, did she sleep with the guy or no?
I don't know. I don't remember if it was clearly stated or not, whether she... I know she said she fell out of love with Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I don't even think it said that. She just fell in love with somebody else. And she felt like Gabriel never truly loved her because he was always so hooked on Beth.
Yes.
Yeah.
She definitely did say that she had never felt loved like that until the guy that she ended up with.
Yeah. So, okay. Beth ends up with Frank in the end. Like, he does his 10-year sentence, and then he comes back, and Beth chooses him over Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel and Frank end up, like, becoming okay with each other because of Leo, and Leo grows up and visits Frank in prison, and they all end up being, like, friends in the end, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, do you think that if you were Frank, you could ever trust Beth again, or would you always be wondering... Even if she doesn't ever do that again, like even if she never like sleeps with him again, like I would always be wondering,
to be in love with, that totally makes sense. I don't know.
Like that would just be so hard.
It would. It would, yeah. And I don't know. Frank's just lost so much too. Like now he's lost his brother and he's lost his kind of son, I guess, but you know, his surrogate son.
Yeah.
And he's lost 10 years of his life.
Lost 10 years with his baby girl where he could have been bonding, you know,
and really lost, I guess, his relationship with Beth. Like that's kind of out the window.
Yeah. Even though they stayed together and like tried to restart with this new baby.
I loved,
could never be the same.
But like I loved when he showed up to the farm at the end and gets to see her and she recognizes him because she has a picture of him.
Yeah. And you kind of get the sense that he's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's not going to spend the rest of his life dwelling on everything that happened. He's just going to move forward.
Yeah, which is kind of how he was in the book. And I think that that's innately what was wrong with him and Beth. Is Beth was dwelling on the past. And Frank was way too much of... Honestly, he didn't even like processing things with her.
Yeah.
You know? So she never really got to process the loss of Bobby. She never really processed the loss of Gabriel either.
Right.
As like her first love.
Because all of her family was just like, good riddance.
Yeah. Well, and also because she's now pregnant. So she's now responsible for someone else. And then she gets married to Frank. So
bottled up all her unresolved feelings.
Yeah. And Frank... They just had different communication styles because they were the opposites in their thought processes and the way they communicated. Yeah. So I feel like that was just innately their issue.
It really was a good book. I don't know why I rated it so low. Honestly, I think cheating just drives me crazy. It just annoys me.
It is.
I'm like, I don't care how bad things are or like, you know, how many levels of grief there have been or how complex it was. Like, you just don't do that.
You're still responsible for your actions.
Yeah.
And Bailey and I did a mantras episode, and one of mine comes from many book clubs ago where one of our social workers, because we have multiple in the group, one of them said something like, it's an explanation, not an excuse.
Yes.
And I had that thought the whole time we were talking about this book at book club. I was thinking that with Beth and the cheating because there was a lot of back and forth about, but she felt this way and but this and whatever. And I don't agree with it and I would never excuse it. But I think the author did a very good job explaining how she got there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I felt like all of these levels of grief and miscommunication with Frank and, you know, him not really being emotionally available all the time, him being kind of the fault of her son being gone. All of those things kind of explain why she did it, but they don't excuse it.
Yeah. And I think that was maybe my issue is that maybe I felt like the author was trying to excuse it, like trying to say that it was okay. Like, I don't feel like Beth's character ever showed true remorse.
Yeah.
And that bothered me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously she got caught and she had to deal with the consequences, and there was all of that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just don't know that like anything in her character truly changed.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
So yeah, that's why I gave it the rating I gave it.
Yeah.
I think.
It's so funny because I feel like you're like, it really was a good book. I should have rated it higher. And I'm like, I felt this way in book club too. I'm like, there's so many things I didn't like about this book. Why did I rate it so high? As high as you possibly can rate something. I don't know. But
maybe we both settle for 3s. No, I'm just kidding. We keep our ratings.
Yeah. No, it was really, really good. I felt good reading it. I would recommend it to someone, honestly. And I thought it was great to talk about.
It was. Yes, it was a really good discussion. We were at book club for 2 hours.
Yeah. That was awesome.
And that was mostly just
the talking.
Really
Yeah.
And everyone had a lot of good stuff to say.
Yeah.
Did Alexandra say why she chose this book?
I think it had just been on her want to read for a while, and it was on Reese's book club picks, you know?
Yeah.
Those are always pretty solid picks, but I'm not for sure. Well, are there any final thoughts about the book that you want to talk about?
I feel like I've said most of my piece. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on again today in place of Bailey. And I don't know if Bailey will be back for the next book club episode or not. But if she isn't, then I'll have someone else from book club. Maybe Julia, maybe someone else, maybe 2 other people, who knows. And we will have another one for October, which the October book, if you guys want to read along with us, is Frozen River, which apparently, I don't, have you looked into this book at all?
That book title has the same exact title vibe as Broken Country. That's so funny.
Oh, that is funny. It's like a descriptive word and then a setting, I guess. Yeah. So the front gives like Handmaid's Tale to me because she's wearing a red gown, but I don't think it is. But I'm pretty sure it's kind of like historical fiction type vibes. Maybe no, I don't think there's any like magical realism. I was thinking that might be. But yeah, so I think it's like historical fiction. Oh, we better get on this one because 448 pages.
Oh, so, okay.
Just so you all know, it's 448 pages. You might want to know that before October, or before you listen to our next episode. But the next episode or book club episode will be about Frozen River, our October book. And then as usual, we'll have like our usual Monday morning episodes too. So,
all right.
So until next time. Oh, I never said what we were drinking.
Oh yeah.
We got some fun drinks, but I always forget with book club episodes, we just go right into the juice. But we tried the Sonic flavored water things they've been like blowing up my social media, honestly.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah,
it's true.
So they're both flavored waters, and Julia's is raspberry peach and mine is raspberry coconut. No, strawberry. Strawberry peach and strawberry coconut. And apparently the strawberry coconut is a mermaid water, they said, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's what we have today. That's what's filling our cups, and hopefully this filled your cup.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Cheers.